Gas has gone up quite a bit. In the Delaware, you can definitely get some gassy exposure in parts of Delaware and be in the Permian. But then the obvious one is Haynesville. So I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on, is Haynesville interesting? Do you want to go into the Haynesville? And what about other basins? Anadarko is coming back a bit. I think it has its own unique pros and cons. And then Appalachia's challenged in its own way on scalable deals. But yeah, real quick on just some of the other basins you don't have, and will you go back to the Bakken? What about the DJ? Or is it really going forward? And we want to do more Permian, maybe more Delaware. We want to do more Eagle Ford, maybe Texas Haynesville, or your Texas shop. Over to you guys.
Yeah, no, I can answer that. So our portfolio in general is about 60% liquids and 40% natural gas. Although from a natural gas perspective, it's weighted towards solution gas. So we have very little, pure play natural gas. It's gas that's associated with the oil. And, where we are looking right now, we're certainly looking at the Haynesville, Tim, just trying to get our head around that and whether, now's the right time to invest in natural gas. Like I say, we are light on pure play natural gas in the portfolio. But I would say that, in general, our focus is going to be, in Texas. So in the Permian, in the Eagle Ford, and the natural extension to that would be Haynesville if, we decide to add gas to the portfolio. So I'm not going to say it's the first inning of looking at gas, but we're probably into maybe inning 2 or 3, just to put it into perspective. So still early in the game, really trying to understand it. But, as far as a portfolio build, again, regardless of commodity, in the US, it'll be the Permian, Eagle Ford, and, looking at Haynesville. And in Canada, there's still select plays that, we'd like to add to our position. And so, we're talking US right now, but I don't want, the listeners to think that Canada isn't still an important part of our business in the right plays and under the right operators.
Okay. One quick question on kind of pure play versus associated gas exposure. I think in a high price environment, you kind of catch over that upside across the board. In a low gas environment, you can make an argument that associated gas may get flared or doesn't get the same type of love because it becomes a nuisance. Whereas when you're a pure play, that's your only revenue stream, and your systems are built not to vent and not to flare and capture everything because that's revenue. So that's just kind of an interesting rhetorical question I'm throwing out there. Is not all natural gas is the same, maybe, and then there's proximity to markets as well. So, have you guys dug in a little bit on takeaway capacity and proximity to markets? That's Haynesville versus Appalachia, for instance, on, the Gulf Coast proximity, right? And then even up in Canada, you guys know all about getting the tidewater and pipeline constraints and all those things, right?
Yeah, and I think that's where we're at. We've got a kind of a good handle on what we'll call the reservoir side of it, and just trying to get a better handle on the takeaway capacity side, because that's much more complex, right? And it was important. As it is on the reservoir side for gas, you really got to understand, how you can move that gas around. And to your point on the solution gas, I think that once the infrastructure is in place to conserve gas, you're always going to conserve gas. And I think the industry has moved long enough away with, focus on flaring and venting, that, the mandate for a lot of operators is to conserve that gas and just manage their environmental footprint. And so I think that, maybe the variability of solution gas, certainly, how it was 5 years ago, I don't think is really how we see it going forward. And I think that the gas, no matter what, is part of ESG strategy. It's important to investors, and the oil guys are going to make sure they capture that.